Densities of consciousness are about the vibration and the frequencies that that vibration is tuned, and dimensions is telling me about the perception that I had with that frequency. A simple example is that you have an inner vibration that defines your reality, because that vibration is going to attune you with a specific frequency that is in a certain density of vibration, and you're going to attract and manifest everything that is in that frequency or in similar frequencies that vibrate in the same density of consciousness. Hello everyone, welcome to a new chapter of Elemental, where today I want to talk about the difference between densities and dimensions. Two concepts that are so important to understand the process of ascension that this planet Earth and us are going through. Densities of consciousness are talking about the vibrational state of the being. It exists 7 vibrational densities of consciousness, while dimension is talking about the space and the time that we perceive, because in some densities of vibration we're going to perceive some dimensions where the time is linear, like in the 3D, or another dimensions, higher dimensions, where the time is spherical. And this process is happening collectively. Earth and us, we are elevating our vibration. And right now, we are elevating the vibration from the 3rd density of consciousness to the 4th density of consciousness, when the 7th density of consciousness is the complete merging with the source, God, or whoever you wanted to call it. The difference between the 3rd vibrational density of consciousness is that in the 3rd vibrational density of consciousness, we think that we are individuals separated from others, that there's not a collective consciousness, that we are not one. There's a veil of oblivion of the source or God, meaning that within the source or God is a separated entity from us, when instead the source of God is not only within us, it's also us. And the 3rd vibratorial density of consciousness is focusing to suffering and pain. So in the 3rd density of consciousness that talk us about our inner vibration, we feel separated from the other. And we can only perceive one dimension, the 3D, the 3rd dimension of consciousness. Densities of consciousness are about the vibration and the frequencies that that vibration is tuned, and dimensions is telling me about the perception that I had with that frequency. A simple example is that you have an inner vibration that defines your reality, because that vibration is going to attune you with a specific frequency that is in a certain density of vibration, and you're going to attract and manifest everything that is in that frequency or in similar frequencies that vibrate in the same density of consciousness. So that's why when we are talking with someone that is not vibrating in the same density of consciousness, it's like there's no communication. This moment, in this process of ascension, what we are doing is going from the 3rd density of consciousness to the 4th density of consciousness. In the 3rd density of consciousness, I am only aware of my individuality, while in the 4th density of consciousness, I am aware of my individuality and also in the collective consciousness. I know that I am connected with everybody. Could be because I am experienced it, or could be because I had that strong feeling. And another difference is that from the third density of vibration, I can only perceive the third dimension of consciousness, the dimension that is governed by the ego, the king of separation. So in the third density of consciousness, when we are vibrating that, we tend to don't take responsibility of our life, put everything out so others can take responsibility for me. When whatever the other makes to you, your reaction is always your responsibility, and you need to take accountability of that. While in the fourth density of consciousness, when you are vibrating in the fourth density of consciousness, this changes completely the play, because you start to take accountability of your inner world, and you had this certainty that you are part of the collective, that you are part of everything, that we all are connected, but you are here experiencing the individuality of the consciousness. At the end of the day, remember that consciousness, the source or God, did a fermentation process in the past, and now we are in the opposite state. We are in the process of ascension until we go to the seventh density of vibration and merge with the source, that who knows when it's going to happen. But right now, in this process of the ascension, we are elevating our inner vibration from the third density to the fourth density. In the third density of vibration, remember that you can only perceive the third dimension of consciousness, that you feel that you are separated for everything. The ego is the master, is the one that governs your life. The ego is not transcended. So people that is flowing in this kind of vibration, well, is attracting everything in that kind of vibration. While in the fourth density of vibration, you take accountability of your life. You take responsibility of your inner world. You know that the other one is only a reflection, receiving your projections to work as a mirror, so you can take responsibility of your inner world. Also, that the other one is a fragment of the source as you are. So it's not only your brothers and sisters, it's you too. And in the fourth density of vibration, we start to perceive dimensions higher than the third density, the called 3D or matrix. When we start to perceive the fourth dimension of consciousness, we start to have out-of-body experiences, we start to travel in the astral plane, and also we start to perceive the fifth dimension. And when we start to perceive the fifth dimension of consciousness, we start to live in reality with less pain and suffering. That doesn't mean that pain and suffering doesn't exist, because the reality is still dual. But we experience pain and suffering in a different way, because we can disarm completely the mental suffering, and we can embrace the pain in a way that before, in the third density of consciousness, we cannot, because we are focusing to the resistance of the mind created by the ego. So that's the point of ascension, and that's the difference between densities and dimensions. It's important to understand that density is about my inner vibration, about the volumetric consciousness, how it vibrates, in what kind of density. For example, a person that is into drugs, of course, is no vibrating in the same way that a person that is into sports and having a healthy life, because that person is elevating his vibration through certain habits, while the other one is in a way getting down its vibration to lower densities of vibration. Another important thing that we need to know is that we're not going to let the third dimension of consciousness. Why we are not going to let this reality? Because when you start to elevate your vibration, you start to not only to perceive higher dimensions of consciousness, you can still perceive the lower dimensions of consciousness. And at the end of the day, we are all one. We are all experiencing a fragment of the source, but we are all experience in a unique way, but we are all helping each other to elevate the vibration. So we're going to stay and keep in the third dimension of consciousness, perceiving the fourth and the fifth. And we can access the third dimension of consciousness, but through the wisdom of the fifth dimension of consciousness. And to explain this, I want to explain how Jesus Christ and Buddha came to this plane. There were beings that were vibrating in the five density of consciousness, where we truly comprehend, when we truly know that we are part of the whole and we experience reality as a part of the whole, is when duality starts to dissolve. Jesus Christ and Buddha, they were beings that could perceive, of course, the sixth dimension of consciousness and inferiors, and they came here to teach us that precisely, that we are all one. And well, probably in that moment we weren't ready. And now I think we are more ready, because if you are here, it's because you are mostly vibrating the fourth density of consciousness. Or otherwise, you couldn't understand this information or talk about it. You could think that I am crazy. But well, we need to realize they let strong seeds in our consciousness, that we are now rising, elevating the consciousness of the collective thing. And now the important thing, how I elevate my vibration. Well, I elevate my vibration through the concept of love, of course, that's the first part. But to get out completely of the third density of vibration, and well, when I say get out, is to evolve from that density, because at the end of the day, when you evolve, you know and you understand and you look with compassion people that is still vibrating in there, and helping them to evolve, to elevate their vibration. But the first thing that we need to do is disarm the ego. Know that the only thing that I can truly control is myself, that my reaction is always mine, that I need to be aware of my inner world, that I need to resolve trauma, that I need to do that healing within me to elevate the vibration. And as I always say, the most important thing is coming back to the frequency of God that is within all us, because it's us. So it's a frequency that we all, in a way or another, we experiences in our life. We all need to come back to that frequency. And for that, we need to start to silence the mind, silence the ego, start to take responsibility of my own pain, go through it, let it go with love, and start to vibrate truly in my authenticity. That's why during these last years, we all had been working a lot into authenticity. And now relationships, jobs, and situations that are not authentic, they are not in your life, because authenticity is the first step to elevate your vibration. So, the best way to elevate your vibration, to go from the third density of consciousness to the fourth density of consciousness, and perceive dimensions, higher dimensions with pain and suffering, are not the protagonists. The first thing that you need to do is combat to the frequency of God through love, taking responsibility of all that inner trauma that we all carried from our ancestors, and start to clean that information, so we can all live in a more peaceful reality. Because if everybody is vibrating in the fourth density of consciousness, perceiving higher dimensions, well, there is going to be reflected outside in our reality, because as we vibrate, we attract and we manifest. Well, I hope this information serves you well, and I hope it helps you a little to clarify all this information, and it helps you to your path, to the path of your soul, to come back to your inner symphony. That is the most important thing, is to honor yourself and honor the love that the most higher frequency living in you is giving you, the frequency of God. Ciao.